Chat lives. Okay. So, commentary time. We'll bring up the fight itself once it starts. Okay, we got Kuja, Onion Knight, Aphmau, Sid Reigns, and Nabat. I have them specifically arranged like this because I want Aphmau in the middle slot. The boss has an ability at one point where 3 people get hit by it, and I believe it is only holy damage. I'll have to verify that because something in me says it is both holy and ice damage, which means the resistance item that I have on Aphmau right now wouldn't matter. Oh yeah, it does matter because Aphmau, because she has the resistance item, does resist holy attacks, and the boss does have a single target holy during the fight. So I know that she can take hits that other people can't. So having her being the one person on the team that is guaranteed to take that 3-person attack, because no matter what 3 people it shifts around on, it's always going to get her. I know she's not going to be low at any point in the fight, relative to everyone else, because she has that resistance ability. She can't get, RNG messed up by the single target holy. And that's why I did it this way. And that kind of, it does something different for the team that I wasn't able to do with Golem. Or I was able to do with Golem, and that was put the targets for the entrusts at the bottom. Because the team needs to be arranged in a very, very specific way. Onion Knight needs to be where he is, and then it needs to be Reigns, Nabat, and then Kuja. Because of the way ATB progresses, it's top to bottom, and then it starts back at the top. And what I want to do at a certain point in the fight is use 3 burst soul breaks in rapid succession. It needs to be Sid Reigns first, because Sid Reigns gives a plus 30% magic and plus 30% defense buff to the entire party. The thing about Sid Reigns is I don't care about having the imperils from Nabat and Kuja already on the boss, because as you're going to see, Sid Reigns hits 60,000 damage, which is his damage cap, without the help of any additional imperils. So his needs to go first, so I can buff up the people that can't hit cap. Because if they went first, they would not increase his damage at all. So that's just extra damage squeaked out by having him first. Then I want Nabat second, because Nabat does less damage than Kuja does. So I want Nabat to get an imperil on the boss. That will make a total of 3 imperils. Or 2 imperils at that point, because we'll have the Magicite that would have been casted by Onion Knight, and then Nabat's imperil, and then Kuja does his BSB, which is going to do more damage overall. He has better multipliers, better magic stat. So I want her to be a support for him, and then he'll close off the trio by doing his, and that will put the max 60% imperil on the boss. And from that point on, I think that's like, 17.5-ish seconds into the fight, we'll go all in on damage. But anyway, that's why the team is arranged the way they are. It's a very specific order. Unfortunately, my only entrust target, or my first entrust target in the fight, is Kuja, and it sucks that he has to be at the top. If you saw for Golem, I actually had Alphino and Fusion at the bottom 2 positions, because it made it easier to, move my little cursor because I'm using an emulator. But I can't do that here. But that's okay, because it ends up working out. It's actually my most consistent 30-second clear, and it's made even better by the fact that Sid Reigns can double cast. If Sid Reigns gets no double cast at all during the course of this fight, it's fine. It's still a 30-second clear. That's why this is so consistent. It can just be made easier if he does. So we're going to start a fight, and you're going to see Onion Knight is going to go first. He usually has the highest speed, as long as he's not paired up with Ferris. And then I'm going to go through my progression. So it's going to be Onion Knight BSB. Aphmau is going to use Wall. Because we don't need a Protectka in this fight. She can use her BSB on second turn. So that's why she's able to wall on first turn. And then Rains will Wrath, and then Nabat will Wrath, and then Kuja will use Shelga. Why? Yeah, I have no idea why I paused so much right now. You knew I wanted to use this, you idiot. I do not pause for the rest of the fight, so... Yay. And on the next turn, we're going to have Onion Knight going first, because he has a higher speed, he's going to beat Rains. And he has a higher place on the party list, so that means he's going to go first if they tied. And what he's going to do is Wrath, so he can entrust to Kuja on the turn after, because Kuja has problems generating Soul Break Gauge, while the two Wrathers, Rains and Nabat, do not. And here's one thing I want to point out. For the purpose of this party, though they may be Wrathing, they need to have their burst Soul Breaks up at a specific time in this fight, and you'll see that when it comes up. But you'll see right now that Rains is taking a little bit of damage. That's important, because I have secondary abilities on both Rains and Nabat that they're going to use on their second turn. But on the third turn, it's it's an option route, where if they had gotten single target hits during the other portion of, or the earlier portion of the fight, that means they can use their secondary damaging abilities instead of Wrathing again, which is important to realize during this part of the fight, because you need to use them optimally during that third turn to get extra damage in. So right now I see that Rains got hit. That means he can Memento Mori, that's his secondary ability, other than Wrath. So he can Memento Mori twice. So we'll Memento Mori once on second turn and third turn. While Nabat, who has not gotten hit and will not get hit, needs to Wrath first turn. Then she uses Dark Zone. And then instead of using a second Dark Zone, like Rains is able to do, Nabat is using Wrath instead. Because I need to make sure that their bursts are up at his very, very specific time in this fight. And you notice Memento Mori, Dark Zone, and then Kuja, because he's getting entrusted, can just Memento Mori twice, and he doesn't have to worry about Soul Break Gauge. And Nabat gets hit, or Rains gets hit again, so he's going to have an overabundance of Soul Break Gauge, which is not good. You'd like to spread that around. I would have preferred that to be on Nabat, so she could use Dark Zone on her third turn. But she can't. And now Onion Knight's going to entrust to Kuja. This may seem like a waste because it's not really healing that much, but she has no other opportunity to use it. You would have preferred that BSB to go off after this AoE, but there's no way I could actually fit that in. Because I would need to delay her actions a little bit, and I actually just can't. It really does work fine with her just using her Command 2 here. I'm actually going to be able to fit in a Command 1, which I'm not usually able to do. And see, after Onion Knight's Burst Soul Break on first turn, and then Wrath on second turn, then Entrust to Kuja on third, he now, very narrowly, is able to use a 2.5 second cast time on a Magicite right now, before Mist Dragon does his 15.5 to 15.8 second turn into Mist form. I know a lot of people that do 30-second clears on Mist Dragon try to rush the damage, because if you can advance his phase, then he moves up his Mist form by 2 turns. I elect to do all of my damage after his first Mist form. So his first Mist form, if you let it happen and don't progress out of first phase, will be at about 15.5 to 15.8 seconds into the fight. And it's very important to note that time because Well, when it comes up, I'll tell you. But for now, the way Onion Knight's progressions is gone has allowed him to start its Magicite now. And if you add 2.5 seconds to this right now, you'll see that it will actually go off a split second before he turns into mist form. And that's exactly what you want, because you want that Imperil in place before everyone's bursts go off for the extra 20% damage. More single target damage on Reigns, and this is why you see me using Aphmau's Command 1, because Reigns is so damaged right now that the rest of the party doesn't even need to care, because as you see, here's an area of effect from Nabat, and now we're okay. Everybody except for Reigns. And normally, if I did this fight differently, this would be a problem, but because I have the time right now, if they started casting things right now, it would actually just run into his mist form and it would fizzle and wouldn't do anything and would just cause me to get countered. So what do I do instead? I defend, and that's the only reason this attempt can go on, because he does a huge area of effect before he goes into mist form that would kill Reigns otherwise. You'll see it does get pretty close. But we defend on all three of our damage dealers here because they can afford to. They just need their ATB to be up at the exact time that he goes into mist form. You'll see why. You see, I use Aphmau's Command 1, which does a single target heal, because so much of the damage in the fight has been focused on a single character. I can actually afford to do that, which is nice because that enables her Command 2 to start doing a little damage. And like I'm going to note in every single one of these Magicite Sub-30s, every single bit of damage you can get counts. And see, now we're at 15.59, and this is where the Magicite goes off. Imperils the boss. Directly before he does a Savage Freezing Mist and immediately changes into mist form. And see, what I told you at the start of the fight, I am now ready on my ATB on 3 characters, Reigns, Nabat, and Kuja, ready to go. And this is important, because once he turns into mist form, he stays in it for 2.5 seconds, which is the exact cast time of a Soul Break. So as soon as he turns into mist form, you use your burst Soul Breaks, and they are guaranteed to go off the tick after he comes out of mist form. So I use it immediately. Nabat, Kuja. Here's the Aphmau Command 1 to heal up Reigns, to get him in, in parity with the rest of the team, so I can just keep on Command 2ing from now on with Aphmau to keep the team healed. And he comes out of mist form, and look at our cast timers on our 3 damage dealers. Bam, ready to go. And see, he needs no assistance. Just with that single Imperil up from the Magicite, he doesn't need any more than that to hit max. And next we have Nabat to Imperil the boss further for our other heavy hitter, Kuja. Alright, now you see Onion Knight using Swift Spell here. It's just extra damage. He needs to entrust one more time in this fight, but he doesn't need to do much, and you'll see why. So the more damage I can get out of his commands here, the better before the burst mode expires. So that's just all I'm doing, because there's no need for him to Wrath and Trust. He can just Command 2 and Trust. And Sid Reigns has a magic buff from Onion Knight, a magic buff from himself, and a magic buff from Aphmau, as well as 3 stacks of Imperil. There's no reason to use his Command 2. His Command 2 will cost you damage output because it does not have an Instacast proc applied to it. So I skip Command 2 with 3 party magic buffs in the going, and go right into Command 1. So it's easy rotations from here on, because we just do Command 1 with all 3 mages until the end. and command 2s with half mount until the end. Oh yes, Memento Mori as well. So 4 magic buffs. There is 0 reason to use his command 2 and lose damage output. Very simple fight from here on. Onion Knight's burst mode is ended, so there's nothing for him to do except entrust over to Sid Reigns. I do Sid Reigns because he has the strongest, not only the strongest burst entry, because he's doomed, he gets an enhanced multiplier, but because it's also instant cast. Since his last action of the fight will be instant cast because he's carrying those procs over on his command 1. So entrust to Reigns, and everyone else just keeps doing command 1s. Pretty simple. I should have been doing this earlier, but as you saw me do during the Golem fight, I'm using the auto command trick. I only did it there for Kuja, but I guess I was so comfortable with my time with this fight that I didn't really care that much. Here I don't do it because I don't know whose ATB is going to come up. It ends up being half mouse, so if I had auto-tricked, I would have lost healing, and I probably would have lost the fight because of it. But damage dealers are still doing single target, and that's going to change next turn. Here, Onion Knight has a dead turn, unfortunately. I have him Wrath to make sure that his ATB doesn't come up. That's all. Otherwise, I would have defended, but honestly, it just doesn't matter. As long as he doesn't defend here, he's fine. I should probably use the RW, because that's a longer cast timer, just to make sure he's completely taken out of the fight. Command 1 on 2 mages, and then Sid Reigns closes out his fight with the BSB. Because he got hit so many times in the start of the fight, he actually didn't need the entrust. He would have been able to use his BSB anyway. So Onion Knight was pretty useless for 2 whole turns at the end of the fight, but if Reigns hadn't gotten hit at all, he would have needed that entrust. But you'll see now at the Reigns BSB 60,000 damage and the 2 command 1s from Nabat and Reigns that will end the fight in under 30 seconds. I love my Dark team. They're so fun. It's really, really fun playing with a team and watching the numbers come up when you have a full 60% in peril. So, now because I'm doing this live on stream instead of just pre-recorded like I did for the Golem, what's everyone think? Anyone got any questions about it? Anything I didn't mention? Thanks, Strider. It's small wonder that I haven't been burnt out. It does. That full imperil was really impressive. So Nabat is not a heavy hitter. She is a Wrath Imperil, and it's really, really good. But she doesn't hit hard. But in that fight she was, because that 60% and the 3 magic buffs that she was getting were really impressive. No, I haven't Strider. That is kind of funny though, when you consider that, you know, in recent weeks, in the last month, I've picked up the amount that I cover this game. Rather than dial it back.